have Maria Touri with us, who is a lecturer in communication studies in the School of Media, Communication and Sociology, the University of Leicester. Welcome. So you're here at GWP, who are hosting a seminar together with Malmö University, and we have the master program here, so that's what you're here for. So we're talking development and communication. Very welcome.
Thank you very much for having me, and I feel really honored to be with you today.
Okay, thank you, good. So can you please tell us about your recent research that you have done about fair trade representations and development?
Right, yes. So the project basically started because I was really interested in understanding the importance of representation more generally in development. So I'm looking at communication in the form of representation. And in the context of fair trade, I was very interested in how the farming communities in the distant countries of the Global South are being represented through promotional material. And more importantly, what does that mean for their own well-being and for their own development? So I'm working collaboratively with a community of farmers in South India, in Kerala. And we discussed this project together, and we thought that it would be an interesting idea to create videos based on the way they wanted to be represented to the rest of the world, which I could then share with people in Britain. So, and see how those consumers in Britain would react to representations that they were not fabricated, they were not constructed by marketing communication teams, but they would be created by the farmers themselves. Mm. So this is how the project started, and it actually gave us some really insightful findings about how meaningful, how powerful this process of digital storytelling can be for the well-being of the farmers.
Mm. So can you tell us a bit or explain the concept of digital storytelling? Mm-hmm. So what is the difference between what is normally used or what we normally see as videos?
Yes. I think a simple way to define it or explain what digital storytelling is I would say a non-professional process where the participant, the farmer in this case, takes control of the creation of their own images, of their own, of his or her own representation, I would say, using digital technology. So in this instance, it could be a mobile phone camera. And as I said, it's a non-professional project, so the outcome is not as perfect or stylish as a professional video maker would make it. But the most important aspect of it is that what comes out of this process is the voice of the person who operates the mobile phone camera in this instance, and the story that this person wants to tell.
Mm. So how did they approach this? Was it difficult for them to know how to start or?
Yes. Well, I know it might sound surprising to a lot of people, but they're actually quite technology savvy. So the majority of them, if not all of them, they have their own mobile phones, and they're very much able to use a camera. So it was basically, they helped each other create their own videos.
Mm. Okay. Mm. So do you see any challenges of digital storytelling in development?
In development. Well, let me say first that digital storytelling is being used quite a lot more than in the past in the context of development, and we've seen other studies working with marginalized communities where digital storytelling is part of it. And based on evidence that has come out from other studies and also from my own project, I would say that one main challenge is how do we actually continue a project or continue an activity that started as a project and might be benefiting the community, but what happens when, let's say, the researcher or the development organization who is working with the community withdraws? How do we support these communities to continue using the digital storytelling techniques, especially if they are benefiting their development in different ways.
Yeah, super interesting. So what would you say are your main learnings throughout this project?
Well, one of the first, let's say, learnings would be, and in relation to what I just said now, that these communities, they have a lot of skills. They're very able. They can produce very interesting content to represent themselves, very interesting narratives that are also very educational, but they need support. And I think the challenge here is to strike the right balance between the input that a development agency or a researcher is going to give and the control that the community is also going to retain. So it's the community that should be in control, but the support should be there still. And the second main learning would be about the context within which communication and development happen. Fair trade is an example of the market, is an example of trade relations that happen between businesses and traders or farmers, and farmers themselves are traders. And it's a context that doesn't fall under the umbrella of the traditional institutionalized development context. But I think there is a lot of scope there to identify development opportunities that connect with communication. And if there's one thing I've learned is that we as researchers can do a lot to explore these opportunities, bring them out, and help replicate them when we find them.
Just a last question. How were the videos perceived in your project? The digital stories.
Yes.
You tested them, or?
I tested them, yes, and I tested them with different audiences in different countries, including the UK, Germany, France, and now here in Sweden. And I would say that the response has been fantastic, very positive. The audiences all appreciated the expertise that these farmers have to offer to share with the rest of the world, the knowledge about farming, the simplicity, but the pride also of the farmers that comes out of these videos. And there is definitely a lot of appetite for content that has been created by these communities themselves.
User created, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.